So, and then what happens is we're live. Guys, we're live.
Wow. Hey.
Hey. Info to Income Challenge. How you guys doing?
Woo woo.
Woo. So say hello on Facebook. My name's Ann McDonald.
Yeah, and I'm Patrick McDonald, and we're psyched to be here. This is going to be, I know it's going to be, it's a new experience for me, so I'm psyched.
Yes, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we wanted to come on live and just do like a hello, share a little bit about who we are and about this challenge. And then we're going to do like a 30-minute, 25-minute training. We're even going to set the timer so we don't take too much time. I know it's 7 o'clock or close to 7 o'clock on the East Coast. So here's what we want you guys to do. If you're watching live, and even if you're catching the replay, just say hello, put your name in. Let us know where you're from. Some of you guys we already know, but we want to get to know you guys. Invite your friends into this challenge. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're doing it together.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So we just wanted to come on. We're going to start this thing and just kind of say a little bit about who we are. Cause some of you guys are probably like, I don't know. My friend told me to join this thing. So here I am. I have no idea what I signed up for. So, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you start and then I'll take your lead.
Okay. So, my name is Ann McDonald and I'm a designer by trade. I've been in the luxury design industry for most of my career, my adult career, 30 plus years, worked in pretty major metropolitan markets, had a pretty savvy client base. New York City, Beverly Hills, San Francisco, and in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the Lake Tahoe area right now. And one of the reasons we're doing this is 2008, 2010, I got a hold of information products in an online setting. And I'm going to share a little bit with you guys later on in the training, kind of my first experience with information products. And I had a great experience and I was hooked. I'm like, there's life on this. Yeah. So we got 2 kids, 3 dogs. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my background.
Yeah. Mine, I'll probably go a little longer just because I like to talk about myself. But so we've been married 33 years. And for the first 7 years, we didn't have kids. And so we each pursued a career. And we were very collaborative and supportive, but there was no crossover, in terms of I didn't, opine on her space and she didn't, comment on what I did. So it was like our own domain. Then we had the boys and, we mutually agreed that she would focus full time on, being at home with the boys and raising them, then I would work. And that, we did that for 23 years, at about year 15 and decided to kind of go back into what initially was design and was very successful. But I think what she realized, and this is one of the themes I think that will come out in this Info to Income Challenge, what she realized when she came back into the business was there had been some structural changes that really put a squeeze on profit margin. And so what was highly profitable, 10, 15 years prior, because of the internet and because of what the information that's available, was much less profitable. And so she started this journey. Correct me.
This is awesome. Yeah, right. I love hearing this.
So she started this journey.
Yeah. I'm like, I've been there.
Of moving into the online space. And, that sort of happened as our boys were just about to leave and go off to college. And when she started back, I was so involved in what I was doing. I worked in Wall Street.
Tell them what you did.
I worked in Wall Street for 30 years. I was in like derivatives and mortgage-backed securities and all that nasty stuff that blew up the economy. It was not me.
It wasn't.
But I was near it. But anyway, and so I did not really step in, I think, in the supportive way that I should have. And so there was a tension that I don't think we were fully aware of that sort of began to grow over time. Anyway, I'm probably in year 25 of my career at this point, and I think it took me 5 years to figure out in the last 5 years that I didn't really want to do it anymore. And so I finally got religion, and I resigned. And I say retired. I retired from that job, that career, but I'll never retire. So we decided to do something different. We sold our home in the Bay Area, and we have a house here in Tahoe that we're in now, and we decided to live here for the time being, and it's been fabulous. But we didn't jump right into this. We actually built what's called a single family rental property business. And it's basically, we have an LLC and we have multiple properties, just single family homes that we rent out to people in Northern California. We have a specific client base that we target, but that's not what this is about. That took about 2 years to get up and running. And, that was, one of the dynamics when you work with us is we are a couple. So, if you are listening to this and you're part of a couple, there might be some side benefit to, hearing how we work things out and seeing us interact. It's all perfect. But, when we built this property business, there was a very clear and easy delineation of responsibility. Anne has a background in design, but it goes much beyond that. I always say, and I really mean this, one step short of a GC, really knows a lot about electrical and plumbing and all that stuff, which I knew nothing about. And so, I put in a lot of physical labor and, I help make decisions, but anyway, 2 years, we get that built up, and we get our last property up and running, and then moves away from that and jumps right back into this full time. Now, she was doing this the whole time.
Yeah, I've been doing information
because she's like an entrepreneurial maniac, but in a good way. But I was like, okay, well, I'll take over the loose ends here, the books and the taxes and all that kind of thing. So I got that tied up about 6 months ago, and COVID hit, and I saw Anne, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, we're all locked up, right? Like I guess we're just gonna, eat chicken strips and drink wine or something and watch Netflix. Well, not Netflix anymore, but anyway, she's working her tail off. And as I'm watching this, I'm really feeling convicted that, I can't sit here and look at her work so hard and have success and not. My first thought was I need to help. And then I thought, no, I don't need to help. I actually need to be a partner and carry the load with the same passion and vision that she has. So that brings us kind of to today. The last 6 months, I've been tailing her, learning about the various software programs that we need to use. And I'm still learning that. I'm not where I want to be, but we have always had an ongoing dialogue, even, when I wasn't partnering, about this business, about what she does, about how to make it work. And so I feel like, we're well suited to give a comprehensive perspective on what it's like to move into the online space and, and generate wealth.
Yeah.
And
build wealth, Yeah.
Yeah. And so, if I may, can I keep going?
Yeah, keep going. I mean, can I share this?
Yeah.
He's really downplaying, because one of the things that he carries is, Patrick was in some really sophisticated financial markets in like multiple markets around the world. And so one of my secret weapons, I think, that enabled me to prosper was, after I would do something online, I would go back and I would process with this genius here. And he brings, I wrote this in a description. There's something that he brings that is innate and uncanny about the ability to identify what's going to transact. And, I don't know if it's your sales and trading background or what it is in highly complex things. And so I really, when we thought about doing this challenge, I was like, I'm okay to do it alone, but what you bring is gonna put it over the top, because the truth is, I think what that piece that you bring actually has put me over the top in that wealth generation space. So
I talked about comprehensive perspective, and what I have in my mind, and this relates to this challenge and who I think will benefit from it. When she told me about this concept, what I really liked about it was it's info to income. And, I did something for 30 years. I didn't rise to the level of CEO. And I know, 99.9% of people don't. But, whether you do something for 5 years or 10 years or 30 years, in the doing of that thing, regardless of what other people think of how well you do it, you have knowledge that's been acquired that's worth something. And so I think, again, comprehensive perspective, my perspective coming into this is like, what could I ever do? What could I ever offer that would, that anyone would want to pay for? And why would they want to hear it from me? And those are the two questions that I think, we address in this. And so for somebody who is not seasoned in this space like she is, those are the questions, who's skeptical, those are the first two questions that I would want to answer. Well, what do I have, and why would they want to hear it from me? And, I think it's a lie from the enemy. If you're a believer, that means the devil, that you don't carry something that other people don't want to hear. And if you've done anything for any amount of time, you've acquired an expertise that somebody's going to want to hear. So that's question one. Question two is, why do they want to hear it from you? Well, there is a group of people that that want to hear it from you. One of the great things about the internet is that it expands your reach to the globe. And what do we have on the planet? 7-8 billion people. There's got to be 1 million people on the planet with a computer and an internet connection that actually would like to hear whatever it is you have to say from you. And so you don't need to get caught up in if other people are doing something similar or how it looks.
Can you say that again? Because I think that's one of the biggest things that trips people up.
Yeah, you don't need to get caught up on if other people are doing something similar or how it looks, because you just think about the times you've gone into a store or to buy a car, or, there are some salespeople or some, customer types or doctors or whatever that you resonate more with than others. Well, that's human nature. And so, because the reach is so extensive, you're really able to be yourself. You got to be, your best self. You have to brush your teeth, but you can be who you are, and the term that I've learned is it's called niching down. And you can niche down and really find a tribe that resonates with you. And these are people that when you find them are going to want to pay you, and they're going to want to hear it from you. And so that's one end of the perspective. The other end of the perspective, the comprehensive perspective, is if you've been doing this and, you have some experience, then, Anne really talks, I think, at as high a level as you need to talk. And the reason I'm going through this long spiel is because, as we discussed, what we wanted to talk about today, and I heard Anne talking, I heard her wording things in a way that made me think that, people who aren't familiar with the language or aren't familiar with the lingo might be intimidated. And so I just wanted to lay out that I think, regardless of where you're at, I think that we're going to be able to communicate in a way for this challenge that it's going to benefit you, and you're going to be glad you invest the time in yourself to listen and to participate. So that's,
Yeah.
Other than that, I have nothing to say.
He's really wise. I have to personally say, I've had some, I'll just say I've had some success in this space. I've got what they call fruit. But one of the things that I think has enabled me to have that is being able to glean from the wisdom that he brings to the table. And those are the conversations I'm having after I'm offline, and so I was really excited. Right now we have a program that's it's called the Kingdom Mastermind Program. But it's all for women. And people kept asking us, well, what about the men? What about the men? And I'm like, we haven't really had life on it. And then this info to income challenge thing came up. I'm like, what is it that I think really separates, people who are just kind of trying to do it casually from people who, we're rocking and rolling. We're actually generating wealth. We're creating wealth. We're creating ecosystems of wealth. And there's really a structure that I have followed since I first started. I first had my success in the online space. And I'm going to share that with you today because as we were mapping out the challenge, there might be some of you who are totally familiar with the online space, which is what Patrick was talking about, that comprehensive end-to-end. And there might be some of you who are like, I don't even know why I'm in this challenge. Like my friend sent me a link, when I got the link, it was free. So I signed up. So here I am. And so what I wanted to do today was to map out for you 3 different things that equipped me to turn information, just random information, into actual money, into actual income. And when I talk about income, I'm talking obviously dollars and cents, and I'm going to start with a story, but I'm talking about incoming clients, incoming influence, incoming, cycles that you can then repeat and multiply and scale. Does that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just a real quick story. And here's the thing, guys, make comments in the Facebook group, tag somebody that you know in the Facebook group right now, because we want to make sure that you guys take advantage of all of the stuff that we're going to put in this. I've never done this publicly before, and I do this behind the scenes for organizations and other people. So this is a really felt called, I think with everything going on in the world, mm-hmm. When COVID hit, I got really hopeful. I'm like, opportunity, and I
not that you were happy about COVID.
No, I was not. But I didn't see it as a death sentence for business. And I had a lot of people who I was working with who did. And I'm like, guys, this is a forced edit, and edits always produce income. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's a writer downable. Edits always produce income. Downable. Okay. So that's how my mind works. So let me just start off with a story to give you a little context. So I went back to design work full-time in 2008, and I'd had a pretty successful career in some pretty major markets. And so I thought I knew what worked. And when I went back in 2008, I had a lot of revenue. I had revenue, but the model that I had used 10, 15 years earlier wasn't producing the profit. And I was on a flight home from I was flying in California from Southern California, leaving a project, coming back to Northern California. It's about an hour flight. And I sat down and I mapped out a business model. And I started running numbers. I'm like, I could grow these teams, and I could build out all these multiple teams to work on multiple projects. And I'm never going to get to where I want to be. And it's going to take a lot of work. Like I couldn't map it out. And I'm like, I got to figure something else out. And so what originally happened was I did a training manual for my interns in my design business. And I was like, I think there are other designers who might be able to use what I'm talking about. And so I invested in a program to learn how to do a webinar. Now, guys, any of you guys have been around, this is 2008, right? 2010, where you got all these moving parts and you got, earbuds and all this. I mean, it was not like it is today. And I had 19, I can't remember if it was 17 or 19 other interior designers on the webinar. And I sold a $495 product. My webinar dropped. My product sucked, like the colors, the fonts, everything about it. The information was good, but the the presentation, all of that kind of stuff. And I made, in less than 90 minutes, just under $5,000 with fewer than 20 people on the webinar.
Let me tell you why that matters. One of the things that you're going to hear Ann talk about is being transformational. And, if you can just imagine for yourself that you could sit down and climb this mountain, because it's going to seem like a mountain, and it's a little bit of a mountain, like everything worth doing has a mountain to it, right? And but you get to the point where you were able to, with some prep work, in 90 minutes make $5,000. I think that's transformational. And it was transformational to her because the light bulb went on. You start believing it's possible, right? And what now it's repeatable and you can get better at it. And so, it grows from there, and it becomes, it grabs you, I think, immediately, because you put in, you have to put in faith, some work up front, and you have to kind of take that first step and go online or sell, or, you have to be vulnerable. And, but when you get to that spot, and that happens, that's transformational. It's not $5 million. I mean, we're all for $5 million. That's transformational too, but it's the moment where you become empowered to improve yourself. And so, we are in a time now of, I'm sure we all would agree, of great upheaval. And I'm sure that all of us have felt some frustration, regardless of who you're going to vote for or what your views are on anything. I think everybody has felt some frustration about, how things are percolating in our country today, and some questions about what does that mean for me and my family going forward. And I think the most, other than running for office and getting elected and changing things, which God bless you if you have the courage to do that, the best and most productive response that you can have is to improve yourself, to better your own situation. And you need to arm yourself with skills and with knowledge. And so if this is an area that you've dabbled in, but you felt like you can be better, or if you've never done this, what this challenge is going to do is, I think, help give you clarity on if you want to make that commitment. And then, full disclosure, we have an offer at the end. It costs some money, and you can make a decision at the end, no obligation, if you A, want to pursue this space, and then B, if you want to pursue it with us. Yeah. But I just think, like Ann said, this time, I think, how'd you put it? It forces the edit.
It forces the edit, and that's one of the. I'm going to give you 3 keys in a minute, but the edit is what people pay for. Okay, if you remember,
that's like the change, right?
Yeah, the edit. It's the everything. If you have enough time, you can go out there and pretty much, I think Marie Forleo says everything is figure outable. Okay, there's information everywhere, but this challenge is information to income. And so what we're going to talk about is, how do you actually get that, take information and turn it into income? And I shared the story with you about my first engagement with it, because I didn't know why it transacted so well. My webinar dropped. I had to restart the webinar. I'm like, are these 19? I actually think there were only 17 people on. But there was something about the way that information was gathered and put together that actually made it income. And that's what I want to give you guys a couple keys on today. And Patrick talked about it where, everybody has something to bring. And so before I go into the 3 keys, is there anything else you want to share? I mean, I was like, if I can make $5,000 in 90 minutes, I was doing math. And then I was like, if I can figure this out for myself, I can do it for other people. So I immediately went back and broke apart what I had actually delivered on that webinar. And that's what I want to give you today. Okay. I want to give you these foundation pieces to kind of mull over. What is it? Chew, like a cow chooses the cud, choose the cud. Is that it? Yeah. To mull over before we actually start the challenge. We're going to have Sunday evening. We're going to do a hello and housekeeping and welcome everybody. I want you to invite your friends. Okay. Get your friends in this challenge, because even if you're not in the online space, what we're going to cover will serve you no matter what you do. And you had, absolutely. Yeah, there was something that you shared earlier about, that skill, the skill set.
I think it was just in relation to what I was talking about, which is, we're in this time of change, and the way I think about this, well, this was a mindset change for me, and I'll be brief because I think we're coming up on 30 minutes and I want you to get your 3 keys in. But,
okay.
Come from a corporate environment, I've been a team guy. It's about the team. It's about, and it's not so much about sewing into yourself. It's not so much about building your own. I mean, it is to a certain extent. I know they talk about that at companies, but this is sewing into yourself. It's building out skills and some knowledge that you either have and need to improve, want to improve, or don't have. And I think the point I was making earlier when we were talking was, regardless of where you go with this, and certainly for this challenge, you need to make a decision, I think, on if this is a space you want to pursue and who you want to pursue it with. And you need to, even if you invest the time, if you just do the challenge, or if you do the challenge in the course, you're going to come out better off. You're going to come out with more knowledge. You're going to come out with a better understanding of how, well, you're probably going to come out with a business, but yeah. At a minimum, you're going to come out with this understanding of how things are changing and what's going on out there. And, sometimes the path we take to get to the next level of our growth, and our prosperity isn't always a straight line, but you get there by moving. You don't get there by not moving. And this is a way to move. Yeah. So that's what I would say. So give your
awesome.
3 keys.
All right. So 3 keys. So guys, when I broke the successful webinar down, you thought I'd made $1 million. I'm hooting and hollering. I made 4,975 or something like that. I broke it down, and there were 3 things that I have consistently gone back to over and over again that actually make it rain. The first is this. Key number 1, information must bring transformation. So information has to become transformation. Write that down. We're going to unpack these 3 keys over the challenge, but I want to give these to you now. If you're watching live in the Facebook group, somebody type that in. Key number 1, information must become transformation. That's the first key. Okay. The second key, the transformation must be achievable for your audience. Okay. It can't go from, I didn't sit down at my first webinar that dropped and make 150 grand or 450 grand. Okay. I made less than $5,000. It was achievable for me. Okay. So key number 1, information must bring transformation. Key number 2, transformation must be achievable for your audience to remain engaged. Okay, that's key number 2.
Quick note, remember, transformation doesn't have to be life-altering, mind-numbing. It can be incremental. Same with the achievable. It can be incremental.
Okay, the transformation for me, information became transformation by me learning how to do a webinar poorly that dropped. right? Because the information that I carried had to be able to be put into a form to transform other people. So it can be as simple as learning a new skill, all right? Learning how to do a webinar. It can be that easy. Key number 2, the transformation must be achievable for your audience. I didn't make 150 grand. I didn't make 450 grand on that first webinar. I made less than $5,000. The third thing, the achievement must be measurable, okay? The achievement that your ideal client is getting through the transformation not only has to be achievable, it has to be measurable. And we're going to unpack this over the course of the challenge. But if you can get a hold of those 3 things, just kind of chew on those with respect to your position, what you're bringing into this challenge. Are you new to the space? Are you doing this because you're working for someone and you might have to make their information products? That's one of the ways I found out I had a knack for this. I actually did this for people who had all this information. I'm like, and they're not making any money. I'm like, aha, I know what to do here. I know how to put this into a blueprint and put it into a thing that can be multiplied and scaled and repeatable. Okay, and so that's what we're going to do over the course of this challenge. So those 3 keys, somebody write them in the Facebook group. There was something else I wanted to share.
Well,
the coaching. Do you want to talk about the coaching?
Sure.
So,
all right. Then let's wrap it up.
All right. So real quickly, you guys should have received an email. We are offering a coaching program, a 12-week. You get both of us 2 times a week for 12 weeks to walk you through this in a coaching environment. We're going to offer this again at the end of the challenge. But right now, there is an opportunity for you. It's a non-refundable opportunity because the price is so low. But if you know that this is for you now, that by the end of 2020, you want to have this all buttoned up for yourself, or maybe you're here for your boss, or you're here because you're working for somebody and they said, hey, go sign up for that. Then I want to encourage you to take advantage of that offer before it closes. Now, here's we call this a hashtag mom moment. If it's not for you, don't go near it. Okay. If you're new to this space and you're just like, man, I don't even know what I'm in, there's always enough resource to engage in the programs that you need when it's time. Okay.
Yeah. And I would say, when we get to the end of this challenge, I would just think about, if you decide to take a step, think about it as a step in a journey. And, we will have measurable results at the end of the 12 weeks. And what you'll get from us is transparency. I mean, and you're going to get our commitment to you. And, I think that we're going to enjoy the process, and we're going to enjoy getting to know each other. And, process is a function of journey. And the reason I say that is because I just find that sometimes people can get into this mindset where they think if they try something and the first time it doesn't work, that they're a failure. And that's not the right way to look at it. And you may think to yourself, well, of course that's true. But, when you're in the moment, you need to be told that. So anyway, we didn't bring our charger down to plug the computer in, so the battery's going down.
Awesome.
And
so we do have to wrap up.
It'd be a bad look to just have it fade out like that. So that's all I have to say. Andy, you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to say welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. I want to encourage you, do invite your friends. We're going to keep the registration open during the challenge because we want people to come in as much as they are able,
mm-hmm.
and encourage your friends. Think about what's right for you.
Yeah.
You have a power grid of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You never let money make a decision for you. You have authority over your money and over your time. And that's a power position that actually draws people to you. So I just want to encourage you, remember those 3 keys, chew on them, write them down. And finally, do what we call an output. Go on live inside the Facebook group, share what you gleaned from this video, okay, from this live training that we're doing right now, because we want to get to know you, and we want to make sure that we are empowering you where you need empowering.
You know, she just said, never let money make a decision for you. And I just want to say, as somebody who has firmly come from never believing that, I understand if you heard that and you thought, what? That's a loaded statement. I get it. I have to say, I've come to believe it's true. But if that didn't ring true with you, just you have my sympathy. I understand. But
30
she's
years
right.
on Wall Street.
But she's right. You know, anyway.
All right.
So yeah, you'll get little, we may get diverted.
Yeah,
once in a while,
we're we like each other.
Yeah, for now.
I think.
Right. Okay. That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon, guys.